Part 1. Stop giving your thoughts control. Overthinking can make a small problem feel like a life-changing crisis. You replay conversations, predict problems that have not happened, analyze every decision, and imagine dozens of possible outcomes. The more you think, the more uncertain you become. This is exactly where Stoicism can give you a practical framework. The 10 Stoic Rules for people who overthink everything are not about becoming emotionless or pretending that nothing matters. They are about learning how to control your attention, separate facts from assumptions, and stop allowing your thoughts to control your behavior. Rule 1. Control what you can control. The first rule of Stoicism is simple. Focus only on what is within your control. You cannot control what another person thinks about you. You cannot control whether someone replies to your message. You cannot control the past, other people's opinions, unexpected events, or what happens tomorrow. But you can control your response. When you overthink, ask yourself, is this something I can actually influence? If the answer is yes, take action. If the answer is no, stop spending your mental energy on it. This is one of the most important Stoic rules for overthinking, because many anxious thoughts come from trying to control things that were never under our control. Rule 2. Separate facts from your story. Your mind often creates a story and then treats that story as reality. Someone doesn't respond to your message, and your mind says, they are angry with me. A friend cancels plans and you think, they don't value me anymore. You make a mistake at work and your mind says, everyone thinks I'm incompetent. But these are interpretations, not facts. A Stoic approach is to pause and ask, what do I actually know? The fact may simply be, they haven't replied yet. Everything beyond that may be speculation. This simple distinction can dramatically reduce overthinking. Instead of reacting to imagined outcomes, you respond to reality. Rule 3. Stop trying to predict everything. People who overthink often believe that if they analyze something enough, they can prevent every possible problem. But life does not work that way. You can prepare intelligently without trying to predict every detail. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be things you cannot anticipate. The Stoics understood this deeply. Their goal was not to predict the future. Their goal was to become mentally prepared for whatever the future brought. So when your mind starts creating endless scenarios, remind yourself, I don't need to know exactly what will happen. I only need to know how I will respond. That shift is powerful. The 10 Stoic rules for people who overthink everything ultimately lead to one central lesson. Peace does not come from controlling every outcome. It comes from controlling your response to whatever happens. And once you understand that, you stop fighting imaginary battles in your head and start living in the reality that is actually in front of you. Part 2. Train your mind to return to reality. Overthinking becomes exhausting when your mind keeps moving between the past and the future. You remember something you wish you had said differently. Then you imagine what might happen tomorrow. Then you create another possible problem. Before you realize it, you are mentally living in situations that do not even exist. The 10 Stoic rules for people who overthink everything are designed to break this cycle by bringing your attention back to what is real, useful, and actionable. Rule 4. Don't suffer twice. One of the most powerful Stoic rules for overthinking is to stop experiencing the same problem repeatedly inside your mind. Imagine you made a mistake yesterday. The mistake happened once, but if you spend the entire day replaying it, criticizing yourself, imagining how others judged you, and worrying about the consequences, you are suffering from the same event again and again. Ask yourself, can I change what already happened? If the answer is no, learn the lesson and release the event. The Stoic does not ignore mistakes. The Stoic studies them without becoming their prisoner. Instead of saying, why did I do that, endlessly, ask, what can I learn from this, and what will I do differently next time? That question turns regret into improvement. Rule 5. Stop asking for certainty. Overthinkers often want absolute certainty before making a decision. They want to know whether the relationship will work, whether the job will succeed, whether someone likes them, whether their decision is correct, and whether the future will unfold exactly as planned. But certainty is rarely available. Waiting for complete certainty can become another form of procrastination. The Stoic approach is to make the best decision possible with the information available, and then accept that uncertainty is part of life. You do not need a guarantee. You need a reasonable judgment and the courage to act. Whenever you catch yourself thinking, but what if something goes wrong? Add another question. And if it does, what will I do? That question changes your mindset from fear to preparedness. Rule 6. Give your attention a job. An idle mind can become an overthinking machine. If your attention has nothing constructive to focus on, it may automatically return to old conversations, imagined arguments, future problems, and unnecessary worries. One of the most practical Stoic rules for overthinking is therefore to deliberately direct your attention. Work on something meaningful. Exercise, read, clean your environment, learn a skill, have a focused conversation. Complete the task you have been avoiding. The goal is not to distract yourself from life. The goal is to stop allowing your mind to endlessly manufacture problems when there is nothing useful to solve. Your thoughts are events in your mind. They are not commands. You can notice a thought without following it. You can feel uncertainty without obeying it. You can experience fear without allowing fear to make every decision. That is the mental discipline at the heart of the 10 Stoic rules for people who overthink everything. The objective is not to eliminate every thought. That is impossible. The objective is to become the person who decides which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones should simply pass by. Part 3. Build a mind that does not need constant reassurance. The final lessons from the 10 Stoic rules for people who overthink everything are about developing inner stability. Overthinking often becomes a search for reassurance. You want to know that everything will be okay, that people will understand you, that your decision will work, and that nothing unexpected will happen. But real mental strength comes from realizing that you can handle uncertainty without needing constant reassurance. Rule 7. Accept that people will misunderstand you. One reason people overthink conversations is because they desperately want to control how others perceive them. You explain yourself repeatedly. You replay what you said. You wonder whether someone interpreted your words incorrectly. But you cannot control another person's interpretation. Communicate clearly. Be respectful. Correct genuine misunderstandings when necessary. Then let go. Your character cannot depend entirely on everyone understanding you perfectly. Rule 8. Make decisions and move forward. Overthinking often disguises itself as careful thinking. You compare every option. You search for more information. You imagine every possible consequence. Then you keep delaying the decision. The Stoic understands that eventually a decision has to be made. Gather reasonable information. Think carefully. Make your judgment. Then act. You can adjust later if new information appears. Progress requires decisions, not perfect certainty. Rule 9. Remember that time is limited. The Stoics frequently reflected on mortality because they understood that awareness of life's limited nature can sharpen your priorities. Imagine realizing that you spent years worrying about conversations nobody else remembered. Imagine discovering that you spent months worrying about situations that never happened. That perspective makes overthinking look different. Ask yourself, is this thought worthy of the limited time I have? If it isn't, release it. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Spend it deliberately. Rule 10. Practice negative visualization. The final rule is not about becoming pessimistic. It is about becoming mentally resilient. Occasionally imagine that something you currently take for granted could change. Your career could change. A relationship could change. Your plans could fail. Your circumstances could become difficult. The purpose is not to frighten yourself. The purpose is to appreciate what you have while preparing your mind for uncertainty. When you practice this correctly, ordinary problems become less overwhelming because you realize that discomfort is survivable. These final Stoic rules for overthinking bring everything together. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot eliminate uncertainty. You cannot stop every unwanted thought from appearing. But you can control your judgment. You can control your response. You can control where you place your attention, and you can choose not to turn every thought into a crisis. The 10 Stoic rules for people who overthink everything are ultimately about one powerful idea. You do not need to control everything to be at peace. You need to become capable of facing whatever you cannot control. When your mind starts racing, return to the present. Separate facts from assumptions. Take the action that is available to you. Accept what is outside your control, then move forward. That is not the absence of problems. That is Stoic strength.